All right, let's take some questions.
Okay. This first Bring It On question is from William Pat, who says, I was diagnosed several years ago with having Asperger syndrome. I've been single for quite a while, and each night I pray and ask God to send a female companion into my life. How will God help me overcome the AS and send that female into my life and help me reach my education, getting a BS degree, and career goals?
Well, how will God do it? Well, God does miracles. You expect it and step on out in faith. I don't think Asperger's, and what I gather, I asked the staff to do a little bit of research, and of course they Google everything and gave me some tips about that, but it's not life-threatening. It just means people have a little bit of social awkwardness when they have it. Sometimes they're overly aggressive, sometimes they're overly reticent, but it doesn't prevent you. As a matter of fact, there's some thought that Albert Einstein had Asperger's, so you can be a genius and still have this. So how will God help you to overcome it? You step out in faith and say, I'm going to believe God, and go do it, and along the way there'll be a beautiful mate that God will bring into your life. All right.
This is Deb, who says, we're part of a homeowners association in our neighborhood. Love thy neighbor is one thing, but neighbors are constantly pointing the finger at one another for violations and snooping/eavesdropping to get the dirt on one another so they'll be discredited from running for the board. And HOA seems to be the devil's playground on steroids. It's almost impossible to live in one of these with any civility. It's a very hostile living environment, but with the economy, we can't afford to simply sell or move. What can God's people do?
You know, you have my sympathy. I rented a house one summer, I think it was, and I had a dog. It was a nice dog. It was a poodle dog, and the dog liked to get out and run. So the house adjoined a golf course, a lot of running space. Yeah. All right. Well, they had this, some kind of a patrolman in this, thing. One of the homeowners was the area policeman. I mean, you felt like you were in a concentration camp before it was finished. I mean,
Well, imagine those golfers had something to say about your dog.
My dog wouldn't make mess on a golf course. It's more refined.
Not on the greens, anyway.
Well, but the idea is, you have my profound sympathy. I don't know what to do, but I suspect that you got more money than you think, and you could probably have a better deal selling that house. But get out from under that, because that's a constant worry. People are criticizing, critical all the time. You don't need to live under that kind of situation. So just ask God to get you out of it, and He will provide a way. All right?
Okay, this is Debbie, who says, does God talk to us in our dreams?
Well, sure He does. That's one of the ways that God communicated with people. Look at Joseph. He had a dream. The Holy Spirit came in a dream. God speaks through dreams, through visions, through the word of knowledge, through friends. There are many ways that God talks to us, but certainly He does that. All right.
Okay, this is a viewer who says, I have this ex-friend who I wrote a letter to one day, and his mom ended our friendship. I'm glad she did, but I would have liked to have talked to him over the phone about it and tell him that it was over myself. Instead, my ex-friend, told another friend who I talked to that it was over. This ex-friend, okay, can't seem to get over me. I've tried letting him take his time and talk about me all he wants, but I'm not going back to being friends with him. How do I forget him? I've recently told my other friend that we're not talking about him anymore over the phone. Now, how do I get over him for good? Wow.
You sound, darling, like you were about 14 years old.
Whew.
And that's the teenage crush, and you'll grow out of it, and he will grow out of it. But, those early romances are very powerful. It's amazing. I don't want to diminish the fact that somebody at 13...
Sometimes when one person ends it, the other person, it's hard for them to resolve it.
All I'm saying is intense, and you say, how can I forget him? These are, very intense relationships, and it's very important, but it's a shame that a mother stepped in and intercepted your mail. That wasn't a good thing to do. But you'll grow out of it. You'll find others. You'll forget this guy, and he will forget you as you get older. It happens that way. But, those early romances are very important.